You know where they are. I said, get out
of This is Appetite for Distortion.
Yeah, I wouldn't have put X-Lax in my coffee if I knew we were starting.
That's that's a good way to start the episode. And welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode 243. My name is Brando, Zoom episode. I'm really excited to speak today with both of my guests, one of which really quickly, and sorry, JT, you're just not as important as our main guest. JT, I mispronounced it last time. Turret. Not like Tourette syndrome. Turret. Like it is a real word. Gotcha. So you've been on before, and you helped me land this interview, but you introduced me to your friend Vanessa, who connected me today with. Is it weird? Do I call you Fat Mike? I've been saying it my whole childhood, but now that I'm face to face with you, I feel like I'm saying something like an insult. How do you prefer to be called by your friend?
You can say it.
Okay.
You can say it, and yes, I am insulted every time you say it. But I'm just used to it. So,
well, Mike Burkett from NOFX, not just for the podcast itself, and you're just one of the many people that it's crossed off my bucket list, but just as a punk rock fan growing up in high school.
Oh,
this is just amazing, and I still listen to your music. I washed my dishes to linoleum the other day. So nice 15 minutes. Washing dishes, and it went by a lot quicker. So, thank you for that all those years later for making that song.
You're a dishwasher,
huh? My fiance, she cooks, I clean. That's how it works.
Oh, at home you do the dishes. I thought maybe that was your second gig.
I do. In radio, you're not too far off. Maybe I should wash dishes as a third gig working in radio. Not all of us are Howard Stern, I guess. But today
it doesn't seem like radio these days is that lucrative.
No,
that's why I've got a podcast.
I make my living doing the not like behind the scenes stuff, thankfully, and I do have a secondary job which I've had for like 10 years to accompany that. But as you probably know, Mike, if you love what you do for a living, it's it doesn't really matter. So that's kind of why we're here to talk to you today. I mean, I'm happy that we're getting new NOFX, but it's not the double album that we initially were going to get. So it's single album. Is that what it's called, coming out next month?
It's single album.
I love it.
It is. And it was, even when it was a double album, it was still called single album, which is kind of cool. We didn't have to change the name.
Oh, perfect. Even if you had graphics made
it was just good. It was just going to be confusing. It was just going to be a double album called single album. Which I thought was funny, and now it's kind of funny. Now it's just single album. People ask me, why is it called single album? Well, it's not a double album, is it? No.
There's 10 songs on there, it looks like, and that means I want to know how many didn't make it. How many songs could have been on if it was a double album?
Well, there were 13 more songs. And then 4 or 5 that didn't make it on top of that. Okay. So there's about 28 songs.
Wow.
And what's really crazy is I have 38 new songs written.
Awesome.
Since I went to Sober Camp. So, and NOFX, we're actually recording our new album now. Before Amazing. Our new album even is coming out. Just weird.
All right. So it could have been a quadruple album.
If you're feeling it, you got to go with it.
It could have been
not really.
That's cool. And first, let me say,
but the 13 songs that got cut are not going anywhere. The 13 songs that got cut are actually cut.
Well, so I was going to say what I love about
sometime, but our new album.
What I love about your band is we actually usually do hear everything. I mean, whether you put them out on the 7-inch of the month club or B-sides here and there. I mean, the songs usually do make it out. I've heard even demo versions of stuff. You don't keep them that close to the vest. but are some
that's
of them
why
really
we have
buried?
a 7-inch of the month club. Well, I'll use all these because I like all the songs. I just I like the new songs I'm writing better. And the 7-inch of the month club, it's funny how people don't like it because it's purposely not. It's not that I make the songs not good, demos, and we just kind of go in and record the songs, get used to them, and then record them for real on the album. So the 7 inches are supposed to sound different. They're supposed to be special.
Right on.
I like that. That's very cool. So I guess then how do you feel if you were, obviously 2020 screwed everybody over and this was initially going to be a double album, but it's great that we have all these songs waiting to be released. Are you happy that you're putting out a double album, or are you kind of just chomping at the, a single album rather, or are you just chomping at the bit to be like, I'm already thinking ahead towards what I already have? No, you're gonna like this new stuff. Wait till I hear even coming down further down the pike. So are you like anxious about it, or are you just happy with like how the process ended up turning out?
No, I don't like the process, and I'm really I wish this album would come out already because it's been done for about a year, which is really crazy for us. It was supposed to come out in September, but then Frank Turner called me and said, "Hey, we're almost done recording that split," and I was like, "Oh fuck," and I totally forgot. So we had to go in and record our half of the split and then put out that record first. So, but that was a good COVID record to come out. It was happy and fun, and this one is way darker.
So that's interesting. You say it's darker, but I certainly don't want to gloss over what you said before. You wrote some of the new music at a sober house. Is that what you said?
No, the new music.
Sober Camp.
Sober Camp.
Yeah, the new music.
The new music. Well, first of all, congratulations. It was recently 5 years for me without a drink. So congratulations to you. Then I guess how is writing not under the influence, I guess, does that differ from your normal style of writing? Was it easier? What came out of it? Because you said it's darker material.
Well, that record, I never had depression before. It's kind of the first time in my life I had depression. From my musical not opening, from getting a divorce, from my wife Soma, things were not going well. And things weren't going well with my first wife either. And so being depressed, I did a lot of drugs and drank a lot and wrote pretty much always at like 3, 4, 5 in the morning. That's kind of the best time to write dark songs because your mind goes all kinds of weird places. And, some of these lyrics on single album, some of them seem a little disjointed because I just went on weird tangents. And I think it's really interesting material. And the record is different than any of our records. So, a lot of good came out of all my drug abuse.
I understand. I believe me. I'm on 60 milligrams of Cymbalta. I often talk about mental health.
Is that a weight loss drug? What is that?
I know. No, it's making sure my chemicals in my brain are flowing. So I'm not too depressed. But getting to speak with fatmike of NOFX today is my bit of serotonin. So wherever you can get it. Well, I mean that's awesome.
I'm glad it's making you happy.
It is,
because it's draining for me. This is draining all of my serotonin just talking to you. So you're getting it. You're picking it up.
All right. Well, I mean, is there anything I can do to make it flow? Back and forth.
No.
The first song on the record sounds like it might be a depressing one. It's called "The Big Drag." So is that song a drag? It's one of my favorite songs I've ever written, actually. I don't know. It's the only song I've ever written that I'm not sick of. That's awesome.
Because no measure is the same. Every time I switch chords, each chord is played with a different rhythm. There's the bass guitar never lands on one note. It just kind of is there. It's kind of this is weird. It's just a very strange song, and it makes people uncomfortable.
It sounds like an adventure. You mentioned not getting sick of it. That reminds me to ask you about Linoleum being on the new album, where you talk about retiring Linoleum. Were you sick of playing Linoleum, and were you really going to not play it anymore if there had been shows this year? Was it out of the set list?
Well, we were learning the new one. Once we actually learn the new one, and if we can play it, then we'll probably replace the old one.
It's going to be a great moment when people think you're starting.
No rules.
Yeah. It'd be a great moment when people in the crowd think you're starting Linoleum and it's Linoleum and they go to sing along.
I think
we'll probably have a third one by then. By the time we play live, we'll have a third one, and people will really be fucked.
Linoleum.
I mean, that's what I like to do. I like to write songs that surprise people. You got to always surprise your listener with lyrics or with chord changes or melody, and that's what I get off on.
No, I was pleasantly surprised the contributions that Avenged Sevenfold made. Can you just tell us how that came about? How working with them? What's that? What's that, JT? You doing
tapping?
Tapping.
I don't know. I've been golfing with for a few years now, and we're just good friends.
And you two golfing? Wow. Who's a better golfer? You or
we tear it up. He's better.
Okay.
He's better, but I keep beating him. I think he gets nervous around me.
Okay.
Yeah, the last 3 times we played, I beat him.
I love it.
What are you shooting these days?
With him, I shot 86.
It's not bad.
Last time we played 2 rounds in under 5 hours. How about that? That was pretty cool.
Speed golf.
At his plush country club in Palm Springs. It's funny because I was at his house when I got my bleeding ulcer really went into a bad place, and I was at his house not feeling well and passed out pretty much, and then threw up 2 liters of blood like all over his carpet and bathroom floor. It was fucking disgusting. Thought I was dying. You know, when you're puking up blood, you're like, well, this is new.
Yeah.
And I haven't been drinking today. So what the fuck is this? And then I was shitting blood. And so there's like blood shit all over his fucking house and puke blood. And awesome. I'm like, it's kind of like John Belushi. You know, the paramedics are picking me up because I thought I was dying. And like when in Animal House, when John Belushi smashes that guitar, I was like, sorry.
Right.
Send me the bill.
Oh, awful. I hope you're feeling, I mean, are you all good now? You look good. You sound good. I mean, is everything, I'm
good.
All right, good. I'm glad.
I've been sober. I've been sober for a few months. Which is, I'm enjoying it a lot. I'll never end up being sober forever because it's just not me, but I'm digging it right now.
Right on.
I'm really happy to hear that, man.
Yeah, right on. Obviously,
the good news is when I went to rehab, the doctors there and 2 therapists, they all said, "Oh, what are you doing here? You're not an alcoholic or a drug addict, and you don't seem to have any mental issues." And it turns out my stomach got so bad from H. pylori, from this bacteria, which is actually chlamydia of the stomach. Don't ask me how I got that. I don't know, but it was a
song in there somewhere.
It wasn't the booze, and they said, yeah, your liver's fine, and because I'm not a daily drinker. They just said you have a problem dealing with issues. So when you get issues in your life, you drink and do drugs. So when I was there, they're like, let's deal with your issues. So when I got out, I was like, shit, everything's good now.
Oh,
so yeah, I'm
Sweet,
stoked.
Man.
Yeah. Therapy first. I've been in therapy for a God, I don't know. She's gonna come. My therapist is gonna come to my wedding. Put it that way. So obviously, you before we started recording, you made some remark to like my Slash. I bought it off Amazon. It's nothing.
Slash.
Yeah,
Do you have Slash on? Do you have Slash on your show?
I wish I've had a son on twice. Guns N' Roses is weird. Maybe you can tell us about your relationship because I know you've worked with Dizzy Reed. I've had Dizzy on, but it's hard to get to that. We were just talking about how you release everything. You're so forthright with your fans. We don't get, as a GNR centered podcast, we talk about everything, but I just don't want to be another generic rock show. So GNR is the hook. The Axel doesn't do that. So that's why, I'm excited to hear any new music, obviously NOFX, but because we don't get it from GNR, we have no updates about anything. It's so few and far in between. So that's why Slashes doesn't come on. As far as I know, he's maybe afraid of spilling the beans, even though I wouldn't ask about it. See, I'm not asking you any hard questions. I'm relatively easy to get along with, I
don't know that much. I don't know them. The bass player, who the replacement bass player, from the
Tommy
replacements.
Stinson?
Tommy, I know him.
He's been on a couple times.
But getting like we've played with Guns N' Roses a few times. And getting anywhere near them is impossible. And you're not even allowed to leave your backstage when they're going to the stage. This is at festivals. But
we ran another band like that?
And the Snake Pit.
Okay.
No, I've never seen another band as like Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
Nobody. Even like Oasis. We took trains with them in Japan, and they were just hanging out. They had some security, but those guys are more accessible.
Interesting.
Even though Guns N' Roses is the biggest band in the world, Oasis are pretty fucking big too.
Mm-hmm.
But once we were on a plane playing a festival in Norway, and it stopped somewhere, and then as it took off, there was only NOFX and Slash and the Snake Pit on the plane. So it was just pretty cool. And the stewardesses were like drinking with us, and we got into a pillow fight. And Slash was the guy who came over to us. He goes, "Hey, you guys, what's up? What band are you?" I'm Slash. We're like, "Oh, cool." He came up to us, which is, it's the responsibility of the guy in the bigger band to do that. If you're in the smaller band, you just kind of look like a weenie.
So
and
Slash's Snake Pit is bigger than NOFX.
I want to go bike riding with Duff.
Yeah, you want to go bike riding with Duff? Well, yeah, I mean, yes. I would say NOFX was bigger than
because I read Duff's biography.
Okay.
Of course we are.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
but still, he's like as a singular.
We're not bigger than Guns N' Roses, but we are a lot better than Guns N' Roses. So that stands for something.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Hey, sometimes I'm in the mood.
They made one good record. Their first record was good.
Okay. But, hey, sometimes I'm in the mood for NOFX and not GNR. But really, you say that because a lot of people just say Appetite is good. Nothing off Use Your Illusions. You don't like any of that. Dare I even ask about Chinese Democracy?
Did they make the wrong move doing a double album?
Yes.
Okay.
They did make the wrong move. And that's why, one of the reasons why I decided not to make a double album. And, M Shadows was a lot of it because he listened to all of it and he goes, "Mike, this is a great single album, but it's not a great double album. There's some songs that, if there's songs that are better than other songs, it's not a good album."
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I see.
You need to make an album that's good all the way through. This was a little spotty. And what's that Guns N' Roses album called?
So there's Use Your Illusion
double album.
Is the double.
Use Your Illusion 1 and 2.
But that was a total mistake. It's so.
I have it up
it's
there.
Just masturbation. Some of those songs.
I just like it because it's more songs.
And it's more songs, but I hear some really good songs, but then they go on forever. And whoever made the 12-inch record, knowing that you can only put 35 minutes on it, 40 minutes, that's perfect. That's how long you can listen. And I don't know. I was pretty bummed out with Use Your Illusion. I prefer the first EP.
Okay, Live Like a Suicide.
And Appetite for Destruction was great, but after so many years, you come out with that, and then Chinese Democracy. Jesus Christ!
Hey,
But
to each their
I'm
own.
stoked they're back together though with some of the original members.
Yeah.
Right on. Right
No,
on.
I mean I think they're a great band. I think they're a great band, but not prolific. That's for sure.
No, thank God I found NOFX, because if I kept having Guns N' Roses as my only band I really loved, I'd only have very few songs to listen to over and over again.
JT, what did you call yourself? I want you to say it. The kind of expert you are with NoFX.
I'm the NoFX expert of the show. I've seen you guys over 65 sets, 65 sets at least that I can remember.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I really like NoFX. Well, I was on the Warped Tour in 2006 with you guys, and everybody that I was playing on Angelo's stage, the Dr. Mad Vibe stage, and I was working for two bands, and everybody knew if NoFX was on, like, bye, JT. So I saw you guys 45 times that summer because you played a different set every day, and it was awesome.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
Yeah.
A different set every day. Wow.
Having Brian Baker and a lot of the songs we play, we don't know very well. I write the set list an hour before we go on, and everyone learn. Oh shit, we got to play this song, so they'll go over it. But songs we haven't played in years.
Yeah,
and also,
you did.
Our band.
You did What's the Matter with Kids for me? Yeah, I just because to hear different jokes. Yeah, you played 70 songs that summer, and I had like a list going. And I would just find different members of the band, be like, "Hey, you didn't play Liza and Louise yet. Hey, you didn't play What's the Matter with Kids yet." And then you would do it.
and we do it. Yeah.
Yep.
Sure, that's what we do. And Warped Tour, like Brian Baker from Bad Religion and Minor Threat, he would get a drink and watch us every day. And when I know that, it's like, oh shit, we got to put on a different show because Brian's watching us, and he was always there. So we had to change the set list. It's just how you do it, because
Yeah.
In punk, we're trying to impress our friends, not the fans. Who
Yeah.
But if
we have to make it different so
the
Bouncing Souls could watch a different set.
Nice. Well, I mean,
that's
I love that.
One of the differences between punk rock and rock. Punk rock is just so much better than metal, for instance. Lyrically, musically, we have better chord progressions, way smarter lyrics, because we're way smarter people. I was talking about this last week when I realized how many punk labels there are started by members of punk bands. And if you look at metal, there's nothing like that, because those guys couldn't figure out how to start a label or to promote something. They just kind of go along with shit. Or there would be some guy from Megadeth, but I mean, Dave Mustaine thinks there's Nazis on the moon. Boy, spending time with Dave Mustaine, that is something else.
He asked Brandon about his sex life a few episodes ago on this podcast.
And I interviewed
Mustaine.
I interviewed him on my birthday, and he asked if I got laid yet. It was very awkward.
That's not really asking you about your sex life. When you ask me about my sex life, no, that's a question. There's an answer that'll take all year.
Yeah, JT, I don't know. That might be another show.
I specifically said, don't steer him towards BDSM. We'll be talking about whips and chains for the whole fucking podcast.
But yeah, I love the. That's why GNR. But that's why part of my heart, is always gonna be punk rock. I love those the early decline of Western civilization, not part 2, but part 1, which was about punk rock.
That was great.
It was great. So, when with all the songs that you have, and you're always kind of, so many things going on. I want you to ask, and I guess to tie everything together, the references, the Guns N' Roses references and songs. Do you remember what, there's 4 of them, and do you know what songs those are? I didn't. The NoFX expert knew. 4
NoFX songs reference Guns N' Roses. Which 4 are they? I'll tell you if you don't remember. Yeah.
That means
I don't know any of them.
Wow.
What?
Okay.
Come on. 2 are obvious. No. All right.
Okay.
We got 2 Jealous Agains. What's with this underdog in this GNR EP? So I guess Aaron has Live Like a Suicide.
Yeah, and
that's rare.
And she has the Robert Williams.
And Robert Williams, all right, so the sequel song, I've Got One Jealous Again, Take Back Your Guns N' Roses with the
Is
Robert
that a cool
Williams
title?
cover.
That's such a cool title.
I love it.
Yeah.
And now, by the way, how's your Fugazi picture disc? That doesn't exist, does it?
It doesn't exist. I just threw that in so people would, so it
Wild
annoy
Goose
them.
Chase.
Yeah.
On what album is that? S&M Airlines, L.A. What song references Guns N' Roses?
Oh yeah, L.A.
I met Slash. I got a rose tattoo.
Damn.
And there's one more, and I don't know if this was your idea to put it in there. At the end of the B-side, The Fastest Longest Line, El Jefe does the yeah.
That was his Axel impression. Yeah, that was that.
Amazing.
He
How
goes
many
straight
people
from a
have heard
Fat
that
Mike
song?
impression to an Axel impression.
Yeah.
Some.
Not many people have heard that song, because that song isn't released digitally at all. I don't think.
No, it's on Liza Louise B-side or something.
It's his B-side. Yeah.
That's why I needed JT on this.
You gotta have
episode.
songs like that. We actually do have songs that aren't out there, but in weird ways. Like we used to play a song every night for 4 years, which is "The Idiot Son of an Asshole," which is, people sung along. They really liked it. We never recorded that, which is cool to have a song that's popular and have never recorded it.
Like Fish and the Grateful Dead.
Oh my
Two of your
God.
favorites,
I
right?
didn't think of it that way.
Now he doesn't feel good about himself.
Yeah, people gotta get their.
The difference is that those bands write so many terrible songs that they couldn't get anyone to record them. I bet, because I mean, seriously, what did the Deadhead say when he got out of rehab? What's the shit I've been listening to? That's exactly how it is. You cannot listen to that music if you're sober.
I'm not a big Dead fan. I mean, I
beats
appreciate
them up
in
most of
lyrics.
all of it.
Nobody really is.
Not my age.
No one
I
says,
work in
"Hey, what do
classic.
you want to do today? Let's listen to some Grateful Dead albums." Never happened.
I work in classic rock radio, so I know some of my seasoned veteran coworkers love the Dead, but it's not.
Yeah, obviously,
Not
Fish
for
is so
me.
much better.
It's not for me either. It's not for me. I like hard guitars. That's why I like NOFX. I like, that's why I'm excited to hear the variety of it. So it's coming out, and you were talking. I can't gloss over the fact that you have your own label, Fat Wreck, that's coming out. You know what? Actually, so I don't lose it. Can you talk about some of just the other bands that are on Fat Wreck? Maybe we should check out.
Guns and Wankers.
Guns and Wankers. They're an old band that I signed as they broke up, but I just like the album so much, and it's still a cool album. I'm kind of stoked on Fat Records right now because we put out 5 or 6 records in 2020 that were really good, and all those contests of record of the year, a lot of them got that, which is super cool for me because I produced a lot last year. One of the records I produced was Get Dead. That's an amazing record. And Bad Cop and Bomb Pops, both those girl bands are really fucking great releases. So I'm stoked.
How do you balance that with writing new music and running a label? How have you kind of reevaluated your time over the last year since you were not allowed to go anywhere at concerts? Like, is it difficult, or does it come naturally since you just love what you do?
It's called cocaine, Brando. When
Keeps you productive.
it makes time for everything,
Sure.
It's simple.
Okay.
No,
You don't have to
I
sleep.
am changing my life. I'm slowing down a lot now. I'm with a new woman, and we just spend a lot of time actually doing yoga and bike riding and
Cool.
hanging out and sex. But I used to produce one band a year, and last year I think it was 5 bands. And I moved into a big house. There's always people there, and when you have a studio at your house, you just always invite people over, and then they want you to either they want you or you butt in and give them your advice when it's not wanted. Either way, I was always in the studio with these bands. And yeah, I have a way of telling bands on my label what I think of their albums, unless they're done and I haven't heard them yet. In which case I say, great album, guys. But if they're in the recording process, I want to put out good records on my label. I care a lot. And
Sure.
last year, I just, I produced a lot of bands.
You're doing Fishbone right now, right? I mean, how much are you butting in with a band like Fishbone? That's now they're, I think, most of the original lineup.
A lot. Like, I don't even know if we're going to get through this album because a couple of the guys in the band, I annoy them a lot. Because, you know, I'm to everything, pretty much everything, I have something to say about it. I'm just really trying to simplify them and get to the point and the catchy choruses. And I take like my favorite parts of their songs and I try to, you know, really make it more important. And because, you know, they go in so many different directions and those guys, they're insane because as people, they all go in different directions. And when you have Angelo and his zither, or what is that thing that he has some weird electronic instrument.
I know he's fond of the theremin.
What do you do with that? What are you supposed to do? Yeah, when he's with his theremin, and it's just crazy. And he goes, oh, I like it to be in every song. I'm like, oh my God, how do I possibly deal with this? And you know, everyone calls me on their own secretly saying how they feel about the songs.
Oh, that's fun.
But they don't say it in front of all the guys. It's just it's really fun. As in dysfunctional. Yeah.
I've collaborated with Angelo against my will that summer on the 2006 Warped Tour many times. I'd be playing my solo set, and then I would hear, woo! I'm like, wow, got a Fishbone collab going against my will. Awesome.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, he does that. But we have 3 songs right now, and they're awesome.
Sweet.
I want to
Did we talk about this Dizzy Reed thing yet, Brando? I want to make sure we get that in. I don't know how he wound up playing on the Cokie album. The song is called That Time I Killed My Mom.
Yeah, so how did you end up working with Dizzy?
Well, I recorded the Cokie album at Danny Lohner's house from Nine Inch Nails. And I just moved in for 3 months. I just moved into his guest bedroom. And that guy knows everyone. Danny knows everyone. So he was like, oh, let's get Dizzy to play keyboard on this song. I'm like, yeah. And there's a lot of guest appearances from people on that record. And Dizzy was just back from tour. That guy's a monster. I mean, GNR, and then he has another band he's in that tours all the time.
Hookers and Blow.
So he was,
yeah. I could see the NOFX Hookers and Blow show. I could see that happening. That would be awesome.
That could happen.
Right on.
I still want to go bike riding with Duff because Duff is a punk rocker.
Okay. He's somebody that I like Slash. I wish I had on the show. I've had his wife on the show. I've had 2 of his brothers on the show, but GNR is.
You know, there was a Vandal in Guns N' Roses. Josh Freese was in there.
I want to get Josh Freese on. I just haven't made that contact. But one thing I wanted to ask.
Yeah, those were weird days when you show up every night at 10 p.m. That's when they got to the studio and just went all night because that's how Axl does it. And yeah, boy, how many years did that take to record? 12 years, 13 years, something like that.
I think it was 15 initially. I mean,
The Offspring, we're going to title their album Chinese Democracy.
The one that would eventually
become
Splinter. Yeah. I know. And Axl got pissed. He got pissed. And they ended up doing the name Splinter was the Offspring record. But that's great. And I love the fact that Izzy just works with so many different musicians. It was exciting to know that he has worked with NOFX with you before. I mean, this is things that JT brought to my attention.
Well, with Cokie the Clown.
With Cokie the Clown, sure.
Yeah.
I want to ask, your opinion, because obviously it's the elephant in the room in the world with COVID and returning to shows and NOFX, or you're known for your live shows. How, I guess, comfortable do you feel, I guess, going back doing shows? Is it because there are some bands that do it now, Smash Mouth, Steel Panther, but I mean, especially at your shows where people are moshing, like, are you waiting to be vaccinated? Like, I guess, how do you feel about the eventual return of concerts at some point?
I'm not worried about it.
Okay. You make me feel better saying that.
Happens, it happens. Other guys in my band really want to play, but I'm doing other shit. I wrote a sitcom. My musical is going to be a series now.
Home Sweet Home.
I'm writing songs.
Can you tell us about that, the musical and the sitcom?
Well, I can't really go into the sitcom because the idea is really cool, and
okay,
we're shopping it right now.
Understood.
The musical, I'm actually talking to two big producers about the series. One of them is Barbara Broccoli, who owns all the James Bond movies. And we're waiting to hear back from Gigi Pritzker, who she's a big producer there too. But because we split with Kevin McCullum, who is our old producer, who only does musicals, we ran in Avenue Q, and now, I'm going to TV, so we need a higher caliber. Good news is
so Home Sweet Home is no longer the idea is to do it as a staged musical. Is you're going onto the screen?
It's going to be both.
Oh, sweet. Your daughter sings on
and my cat
the soundtrack. Hello, kitty.
My cat just
wow, that's
on
a
me.
huge cat. Your cat needs a diet.
No, this one is so small, it just came in front of the camera, so it just looked like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. This guy looks like a kitten. Sorry. He just does that when he wants treats. He just sits in front of the laptop like I'm not doing anything.
With the Home Sweet Home, with the musical, it's very confusing because you had years ago the soundtrack with all our punk rock friends playing on it, and then this new batch of songs from the musical that you got. Your daughter Darla does a fantastic job as Sue. Actually, I was going to ask, is she going to have to audition, or does she just get that part when the musical comes out?
I was trying to sneak her on the album just by doing a little vocal part on one song, and she was so good that I ended up replacing the actress who played Sue on the album, and Darla sang 7 songs. So
crazy.
And I actually sent a song to our producer without telling him who she was. I just said, "Hey, this 14-year-old girl sounds great," and he heard it. He goes, "Oh my God, it sounds amazing! Get her." So it wasn't. I got her foot in the door, but they sing, and she can act
good
too.
Singing.
But when I get the series rolling, she's already 16. She'll have to audition for that. I can help, but I'm not going to give her a gig that's going to be weird if she isn't as good as everyone else.
Forgive me for not knowing. Do we know the plot of the? I mean, I know you know.
I don't.
Is it public? Is it public knowledge? The plot of the play.
It's about street kids, about street punks, how they got on the street and why their lives are they're happy. They have problems and issues, but generally they're much happier than where they were, which is different, from a lot of homeless people who have lived their lives and have kind of fucked up and just gave up. Where these kids are like, "Oh fuck, I was in a really bad situation, and now I've found a family on the street. I found kids like me," and it's about family. It's about chosen family.
Awesome. I really look forward to seeing that, and especially knowing that, because it's weird with Broadway and being here in New York, having it shut down, and I guess it adds a whole other element to just trying to produce a play in general. How hard, I can't even imagine how hard it is just to produce it, without a pandemic. So it's great that you're kind of attacking it from two different ways. So so much coming
Right.
from you, Mike. I'm really excited, and I'm happy you're in a good place. You know, you wouldn't be Fat Mike if you're sober forever, but I'm glad you're sober now and you're getting things straight. JT, do you have anything?
Yeah,
as
I'm
a
going to take a year off. A year is a good round number.
Okay. I like
Yeah,
it.
I never worried about Fat Mike overdosing or becoming a really bad a non-functioning drug addict. But we're all not getting any younger, man, and I worry about just you only get one set of organs, so I'm glad to hear you're taking care of yourself because I want to hear another 2,000 NOFX songs. So for selfish reasons, I want you to not die or be incapacitated.
This year we're putting out 2 records, which not a lot of bands do. So it should be interesting.
So then you're going to put out, and then when are we going to expect the continuation? Is it going to be, you know what? Let me ask
November.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's not a
Before
continuation.
or after the next GNR album?
Okay.
No, the double album, the 13 songs that didn't make the album are not going to make our new album.
Okay.
Those will come out somewhere else.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So single album coming out February 26th on Fat Records. And then do we know the name yet? Or are we just going to say another NOFX in the fall? All right.
Don't know the name.
That's fine. I'm just happy knowing that we get 2 NOFX albums this year. That's great.
Well, I like a challenge. The last time was 4 years between albums. And so, yeah, I'll put out 2 records in a year. Seems like the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. I don't know. It's what I'm doing.
How about this? Let's tie everything together. Call the new album Chinese Democracy 2. See what happens. They'll get publicity. No?
Okay. Or abuse your illusion.
Abuse your
Use Your Illusion 3.
You could do
Actually,
that.
no band that did that already.
Yeah, probably. Mike, thank you so much. This really was a thrill for me, not just as a radio professional, but just as a personal fan of your music. No, thank you for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. You've been doing plenty of interviews, so I thank you.
Yoga, yeah.
Yeah, I hope.
Thank you for saving me from doing yoga this morning.
No problem.
Thanks for having me on your show, you guys.
You got it. You take care.
See you, Fat Mike. Namaste.
Later.
Later. All right, JT, we're gonna wrap up here. That
Awesome.
was great. That was awesome.
We got him in a good mood, it sounds.
Yeah, because it's funny, and we're still, we're recording now. so
Sure.
obviously, so you see that because it's weird doing these interviews on Zoom and everything. And when we first connected with Mike, again, I didn't. I'm like, does he write in the lower left of Zoom Fat Mike? Does he do that? But he wrote his full name, and he just came in. There was like a big glare over him. I'm like, oh no, and he seemed like annoyed he had to move. I'm like, oh no, is he going to be in like a bad mood? And you could see he was one of those guys that just likes giving you shit. And I took it.
Yeah,
I think I took it.
He was cool today, and it's funny, everybody has this perception. I would say this is also true of Axl Rose, of Fat Mike, where like he's going to be mean to everybody or something. But if you talk to people that know him, he's the most generous guy, one of the nicest guys. I mean, I'm so happy he came on this podcast and we got to talk to him about Guns N' Roses. It's awesome.
Thank you. I will say, because this show would be nothing without the people who listen. And JT is one of the people who listen. And JT is another listener who put me in contact with somebody as I said I forget if I said it to him on or off the air, but you connect me with somebody who connected me with that Mike, his rep or whatever.
Yeah.
And it materialized. I mean, I always just appreciate the effort. I never expect anyone to do anything for me, but the fact that you reached out, you've written me these long, detailed prep emails for this interview, which is just, it was great. It was absolutely great. So you get total credit for being producer and co-host of this.
Thank you.
Of this episode. And I'm sure there will be some fans. That's what he does, that are going to be annoyed at what he said about GNR. But I'm not a sycophant. Obviously, I love Guns N' Roses. I do. Yeah, I mean, he went a little. I'm not gonna. I don't agree
he's
with.
Fat Mike from NOFX. And like even in the lyrics that I brought up, almost all of them are derogatory about Guns N' Roses. He's talking about the GNR EP because his wife had the record, and he's like, "Get this away from my Fugazi record."
I know.
But, and lumping him in with Paul Stanley, but it sounds like he does have a respect for them,
right.
more so than a lot of their peers. You know, he loves Duff. He wants to go biking with Duff.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that would be a sight, because Duff's just in like crazy shape, and Fat Mike is, you know.
Well, soon it sounds like he's doing yoga. Mike. He might be less Fat Mike or even Thin Mike soon.
You know, portly. No, that's not right.
I mean, there's parallels with there's some parallels. Right when GNR got Melissa Reese is when NOFX got Karina from the Dancehall Crashers playing keyboards and singing. So they both added female vocals and piano, and it has a big impact on the sound, I think. I love the piano now in NOFX, you know.
And Melissa and Mike both have blue hair, so there's that as well. But it was cool, just to get to talk to somebody you've been listening to their music over and over. I mean, I know you've seen them a million times. You're a bigger fan than I, but it's always interesting to invite someone like that on. And me, you know, I got GNR stuff everywhere, and I just don't ever want to, because I'm not this way. The sycophant that just excuses, that thinks that Guns N' Roses can do no wrong. I don't think that of anything or anybody, you know, or anything is valuable.
I do.
So, I just
Axl is infallible.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm a fan of the guy and support him, but you know, I'm not thinking of anything specific right now. And also, I'm not going to correct his like my guest's opinion. I'm not going to get into a full-on argument, because, you know, unless he wanted it. Like, let's break down the tracks. You know, let's break down. You know,
aren't you happy that Use Your Illusion is a double album? Because it's more songs. You know, look, there's NOFX songs. All right, Pharmacist's Daughter is a song I didn't like that much. I used to skip it. But after I got tired of listening to Bottles to the Ground, I started getting back into Pharmacist's Daughter, just like I got into Bad Apples late to the game. You know, there was sleeper songs. I used to, I didn't always listen to Shotgun Blues or You Ain't the First. But thank God they're there, because I didn't get another Guns N' Roses song for 15 years.
I know. And I've had this discussion ad nauseum. I put a poll up on social media not too long ago about, I guess, people's, I mean, it's nothing new, but I think it was the anniversary of the Illusions, maybe like a couple months ago or whatever. So
yeah, on
the anniversary, you asked these questions. And for me, other than just the Don't Cry alternate lyrics, because it's like, I don't want to learn another of the same song. And I'm not even going to say, oh yeah, I don't like My World, but I have no problem with a novelty song being on a double album. I mean, I'm
fine with it. It doesn't offend me.
It doesn't offend me. And like you said, and I said this too, we have the music. We have this music. Like, they can't take it away from us. You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe you don't like the whole thing, but we just don't have a lot out there. You know, since Chinese Democracy, all we've gotten is Rock the Rock on Looney Tunes. I don't even, you know, and it's a good song.
Not bad.
I know.
I wish there was a live album of Axl with AC/DC.
So do I.
I mean, God, he was so good. You were at the same show I went to at the Garden, and Jesus, man, it was almost like the Axl of AC/DC was competing to be better than the Axl of Guns N' Roses. He was so incredibly on, vocally and performance-wise, and him and Angus just crisscrossing the stage constantly.
I'm going to see if you can hear this, because this is appropriate. I don't think I've done this in a long time.
News.
I haven't done a shotgun news in so long, because you mentioned Angus Young, and he came out recently in an interview that nothing materialized with him and Axl. There is no music. You know, for the longest time, I never, not that I ever really believed it, but like, what if maybe Axl's on the new AC/DC? Didn't happen. Okay,
I'm sure
there's a secret. I mean, unless, like, you know, Angus, I don't know if Angus Young would show up in a new Guns N' Roses album. Maybe people just want GNR and that's it. But the fact that, yeah, we saw an amazing show, maybe the best show I've ever been to, and Axl sounded like, you put it very, very well. He sang better than he had with GNR at the times. Not that he sang bad when I've seen him, He's been fine.
Yeah, he was
But
just so on point.
But that raspy, it was just insane. And I remember just looking around at
It was
people.
like 1987. Axl Rose showed up to be an AC/DC. You know,
He can do it. And I just remember the people around me looking around like, whoa, like everybody was expecting it to be weird. And it just
Did you
blew
see
everybody
him?
away.
Did you see? I know you're not an LA guy, so you probably weren't there. But when he sang with the Billy Joel band
Well, I mean, I saw the video
on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't like the
this-
song choice. I don't like the what was it, Big Shot? I don't like the song choice.
Yeah, I think maybe they could have done "Live and Let Die" would have been cool.
Well, it should have been like it would have been a Billy Joel song, right?
Well, you know, so I work for the Billy Joel band sometimes at the Garden shows. Well, obviously not right now because nobody's doing shows right now.
Oh,
But
what do you what do you do?
I don't
for
know if
them?
you can see behind me. This is one of my prized possessions. Is I was not at that show where Axl sang with them, but the Billy Joel crew are such nice people that they gifted me the dressing room sign from when Axl sang with them.
Oh, that's wow. So there's a motorcycle above it. It says, it's
And it just says Axl.
and it just says in black print right underneath it. This is I'm just describing it for the radio portion of this. No, wow, that's brilliant. What do you do? I know you remind me. Don't break it.
Yeah,
Jeez.
there it is.
Oh, I love it. Laminated. Oh, perfect. Oh, that's
But
great.
Yeah, so I mean, I
what do you
like
do,
seeing Axl with other bands, but it would be nice to have new Guns N' Roses. But I just
Sure.
want to hear new songs with him singing on it. Rock the Rock was fine for me.
I mean, don't we all? Before I lose it, though, what do you do? Forgive me if you told me before off the air. What do you do with the Billy Joel band? What do you
For them, I'm a production runner. They'll bring me in every so often to
Nice.
pick him up from the hotel and make sure Billy gets his after show food and stuff like that. Yeah, nothing special. But with NOFX is the band I've seen the most. But just from working that garden residency that Billy did, I've seen Billy Joel like 38 times or something.
Yeah,
And he always has special guests come out.
It does. I'm a terrible New Yorker. I still haven't gone to see him.
I
We're
knew
going to
about
this
that.
year.
Oh, you were going to
Yeah.
go to one of the garden shows.
That was the plan this year. We were going to go to see Billy. We were going to see Elton. We were going to go to the whole Poison, Motley Crue thing. Oh,
Right.
It's awful.
Yeah, I
But-
mean, the shows are coming back. I think it feels like we're all going back to work in the fall. I don't want to jinx it. I
In
really
New
hope
Zealand,
it's the
maybe.
summer.
in
No,
Australia.
I think
We'll see.
USA outdoor shows end of this summer season probably is what I think.
All right. Well, I'll
But
take it. I'll
whatever,
take that.
I got my home projects to work on. I'll keep myself busy. It's
Yeah.
fine.
And another thing I want to mention, as I just did this impromptu shotgun news thing, considering I interviewed the band Suspect 208 not too long ago, and it's by far my most listened to interview. And I wanted to give it time, I guess, to talk on an episode about it because I didn't know what was private amongst them, but because they publicly broke up, or I should say, Roman was Noel Weiland, Scott Weiland's son, was publicly fired. He posted some stuff on Instagram, and you can see some screen caps on our social media about.
It's history repeating.
Yeah, and I don't want to use his words again. And I also think about what would I say when I was 20, and had social media. Thank God I didn't have it then, because there was like a social media back and forth between him and the band, and it was sad because they were all so nice to me, at least in the interview, and they just started. You wanted something good to happen to them, but as far as
You never know.
I hope there's some men they can patch things up, because you always got the history repeating itself thing. And a couple of things I do want to mention to that. The Suspect 208 is looking for a lead singer, as far as I know. They put out a press release. I don't think it's been retracted yet. So if you want to,
I'll send my tape, I guess. I didn't get the Steven Adler's Appetite gig, but I think I can maybe get this one.
Did you apply for Adler's Appetite?
Yeah, well, Jamie sent me back an email saying he wanted to hear an audition tape from me, and by the time I was getting my shit together, they had already picked somebody.
Oh.
I'm like, man, I really should move to LA just so I can get in some of these Guns N' Roses projects.
That's funny.
But hey, I'm in Appetite for Destruction. I get to be fake Dizzy Reed in the top tribute band in the Northeast. So that's
That's right. So
not
you and you were the one that was not there when Dizzy showed up. Am I remembering this right?
Yeah. So we talked about this on the Joe List episode where I was your guest host.
Dude,
I played with my band.
That's right. I don't know what day it is. Yeah, go ahead.
Luckily I was there in when Not in This Lifetime started. They brought me back into Appetite for Destruction to be fake Dizzy Reed. But at that show at Starland Ballroom, it was like 1,000-person show. Axl Rob came out during Out to Get Me, and the lights were blinking in his face, and he misjudged the lip of the stage and fell off the stage and broke his arm. And 4 songs in, he had to be checked out by EMTs, and he was fucked up and couldn't finish the show. And I just stepped in and became Axl.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and I hadn't played with them in 4 years, and if I was not at that show, it would have been a 4-song show. Everyone would have had to get refunds. So
it would have been like a real Guns N' Roses show, or
I thought
90s version.
Yeah, I thought he was doing some fake 90s storm off the stage shit. But no, he was really injured. And there's videos on YouTube. You can look up just Appetite Starland. You'll see me dressed as Dizzy Reed singing Out to Get Me as Axl.
I'll have to check that out. And for those, because we're getting new listeners all the time, we had Appetite for Destruction, the cover band, in studio when you could do that sort of thing, perform some songs, and it was great. And it was great because they told the whole story about Dizzy Reed showing up, and he was able to fill in because you weren't there as Dizzy.
Yeah.
But they can't share that video because of legal reasons.
Well, I think maybe that's up on YouTube or somewhere now. He played Civil War with them.
Okay, but which was great. But
yeah, it's awesome. I miss those guys a lot, and I really can't. I mean, the next show we have on the books is supposed to be Paramount in Long Island, but that's in June. There's no way it's not getting pushed back. So
the Paramount, yeah, no,
Appetite for Destruction, great band. Definitely can't wait to get back to playing with them. But
yeah, something you think about.
See.
Here's also another impromptu shotgun news that came up. So, Appetite for Destruction, you were never ever sued by Guns N' Roses, right? You never were given a cease and desist. Well, did you hear that news story about a Pearl Jam cover band that was sued and cease and desist and has to change their name? They were Pearl Jam.
What are they called?
Pearl Jam with 2 M's.
God, that's pushing it.
I mean, it's stupid. I'm not gonna lie, it's a stupid name, but
that would be like if we were like Guns N' Roses, or
But people do that with cover bands. I thought like they just barely change it. And if you're too stupid to think that that's really Pearl Jam, you deserve. What are they gonna rob you of? So the fact that Pearl Jam, not GNR, gave like a cease and desist, I thought that was pretty interesting.
You think fatmike will sue me when I start up NOFX?
He probably won't give a shit. Knowing him.
It'd take a while to learn how to play bass like him.
And I do want to mention this because I said it on social media before I get out of here. I know it's about the Noah Weiland thing. I know a lot of people say, like father, like son, or, it's like a whole Hudson Weiland thing again. I said this because I've gotten some private and public messages about the fact that I talk about mental health on this podcast as well. Just think about it. Like, as somebody who lost his dad, like me, let's just quote it nicely to depression, and I'm a private citizen. I can't even imagine what it's like seeing people talk about your dad all the time online. I remember there was one time because my dad was a dentist and he had a Facebook page up. It wasn't very active, but just like, and somebody left a review of how do you leave a review for a dead guy? I flipped out, obviously, and you're online flipping out, and and that's one person, and it's obviously, I don't even think anything of it now other than just I haven't thought about it until this very moment, so it's nothing. But if you're, Noah Weiland, if you're London Hudson, if you're any of these, what's her name? Frances Bean Cobain. If you're any of the Cornells, I mean, yeah, it's like I know that we're the rock stars. We're doing a podcast about rock stars. It's fun, but you have to sometimes think that they're not cartoon characters.
No,
they're
they're
not
real people.
They're not movie characters. They're real people with families. So, you know, I try to do my best because I catch myself slipping with, you know, judging people. But social media, I'm so much better. I mean, I used to be terrible. If I was like Noah Wyland when I was 20, the things I probably wrote, the things I probably thought was funny, were awful. You know, when you're 20, especially, you know, all those years ago when we were younger, what was considered funny back then. So it's just something that I just wanted to kind of. And now we're doing the shotgun news segment. Now that I have some time to talk about it on the podcast, just think about it. You know, you don't have to like Linkin Park's music, but you really need to make Chester Bennington jokes. If you can make a joke about that, you know, so.
No, it's not cool. I mean, if you got some off-color joke like that, you know, maybe tell your friend that has that kind of sense of humor, but don't fucking tell the whole internet so if that you want it, some person's family.
That's how I look at it. If you want to do it privately, freedom of speech. Yeah. Say whatever the fuck you want. But I mean, just try to think about someone else. If someone else's kid is out there, all these rock stars have kids, you know, they're parents. So I don't know. I guess I wanted to wrap up kind of like a Mr. Rogers Neighborhood and just
be nice to everybody, especially on the internet, kids, and be a good neighbor.
Oh God, jeez. Well, you know, you're a good neighbor. You are officially JT. You are a
awesome. Thanks for having me on. This was really awesome because, you know, I've met him plenty of times throughout the years, Fat Mike, but to really get to have a conversation with him in the format like this on one of my favorite podcasts,
thank you.
It was just awesome. Awesome, man.
And I appreciate it.
I get to talk to him about Guns N' Roses. How could I have ever brought that up organically backstage at a NOFX show? Hey, Guns N' Roses.
Never. And that's always kind of the goal, other than, yes, getting people that we care about to talk about Guns N' Roses. I want to get some random people that you will never hear talk about Guns N' Roses on this show.
Yeah.
And I also want to acknowledge thanks for the last minute time change. Because I said it on the podcast, so I have to acknowledge it. I thought I was going to be doing this interview at 1 a.m. Turned out to be 1 p.m. Not my fault. Yeah. The lovely person who set us up, you know,
hey, we got ready faster and we didn't have to stay up late.
Yeah. Oh, thank goodness. And then I guess in real time, as I check my fake watch, I'm interviewing Ricky Warwick in like half an hour. So that'll be the next episode. So until then, when will you see the interview? Well, in the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, you'll see it. I don't know if soon is the word.
Thanks to the lame ass security, I'm going home.